I've got to practice my. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, it's our first podcast. We haven't got a name for it yet, but we have got two brilliant guests with us today. Introduce yourselves, everyone.
Right, I'm Josh.
I'm Callum.
And tell us a bit about what you do and why you think that we've brought you on for our first episode.
So I am FBA.LNF on TikTok. We're just Amazon sellers, do a bit of everything on Amazon, which pretty much every selling model you can do on Amazon we've done. And yeah, that's pretty much how we make our money. Josh?
Yeah, that's basically the same. Obviously, as of right now, we do online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, private label, and wholesale.
So I found Callum, aka FBA LNF, on TikTok, and I saw he was providing lots of free value for everyone. So I was thinking, let's get these boys on for a podcast. Let's see if we can pick their brains. So anyone out there who's looking to start a business, whether that be Amazon or a side hustle, you're in school, you finished school and you're looking for something to do and you want to get into the world of entrepreneurship, these are the boys to look at, because these boys are doing it, they're good in their field and they're reputable as well, and they've started building their own personal brands, so get them. Everyone go and check them out. So Callum, how did you start off with Amazon FBA?
So there's a couple of people in my area who obviously have been selling on Amazon for years. Some of them diving in and out of it. Everyone starts from retail arbitrage, sees the potential in it, and they either stick with it or bounce. A lot of them have bounced. So I just saw it, and there's a couple of my mates who were doing really well in it in my area, and I was like there was some silly dough to be made here. So that's when I started. I got one of my friends just to teach me, nothing formal, just like very like pals, just taught me how to do it. I started making a couple of sales and it was nothing, like no money.
So you didn't start with an actual mentor, because I feel like a lot of people go straight in and they're thinking, oh, I need a mentor. Like I personally had a mentor, for the people watching. Ben had a mentor, so we both do Amazon as well. But you're saying you don't necessarily need a mentor to start with Amazon. You can just, so if you know someone who's already doing it, then just learn off them if you can.
I think that's it. I think, like you just said, that's a perfect point, because at the end of the day, if you don't know anyone who's doing it, then you need to get a mentor. Yeah, because the only reason I would have got a mentor if I didn't know someone in the field. But you 100% with Amazon need to be taught by someone who actually knows what they're talking about, because there's so many mistakes you can make, especially right at the beginning, because your account is like so fresh. You've got no sales history behind you. You want to make sure you're doing things right straight away. So yeah, no, I'd say to answer that question, I would say you do need a mentor, yes, unless you've got a friend who is practically a mentor. So yeah.
So someone to guide you along that starting up process, because if anyone is trying to start Amazon, Seller Central can be a bit of a sticky place to start off with. There's lots of red tape behind it. You need to make sure your account's proper and everything's set up, otherwise you could get deactivated, which will be annoying with your sales. But yeah, how did you get into doing Amazon with Josh?
So
I'll let you go. That's a good question. So essentially, I didn't have a mentor. So Cal essentially trains me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we're both together. We're both car brokers at our job, and then both doing really well. We just wanted a little bit more for ourselves. Had a couple of holidays I requested, got declined, and I was like, right, I've had enough. I'm gonna have a little. Because Cal was already doing. It was wholesale he was doing at Amazon.
Yes, so I started off pretty much straight into wholesale. That's what my friend was doing at the time. So that's just what I was like. Oh, I'll give that a go. That's pretty much all I knew. But when I actually started and done it for a while, I realised that's just like one of the many methods you can sell. So yeah, I started with wholesale.
It's a good entry, obviously. So Cal essentially just trained me on that, didn't you? It's quite a quick process, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, I was just intrigued, just wanted to work for myself. Cal was making a decent bit of money on the side. We were making good money, the job currently. And then, did we go into private label? Was that the next one we went into?
Yeah, so...
We got mentored for that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did get mentored for private label. So I can't really remember like the time span in which it happened, but I went away to Bali for like 3 weeks, and like I was out there. It was like amazing. And then when I came back, I was still working at the time, and when I came back, I was like,
You didn't want to work anymore, did you?
I had like bad anxiety on like the last 2 days. I was like, I just don't want to go back to work. And although that job was like amazing, like, I met Josh there. Never knew Josh prior, although we've got like mutual friends. I just didn't want to go back there because I was like, you go to Bali, you see like all these people out there, like influencers out there, and you're like, this is just a mad life, and like everything's so cheap out there. Like people, you don't need to be driving around like a flash motor. No. Don't need to be doing all of that like swanky watches. Like you don't even need to do all that. You can if you want, but genuinely you can go out there like. I reckon
the flight's expensive, isn't it?
Flight is expensive.
Once you've got the flight, you could live comfy in a real nice place. Maybe like 250 £250 a week.
Yeah, I reckon if you had £1,000 a month out there, you could live like a proper decent life out there. Yeah. Like you just get like like one of those little motorcycle things, get like a cheap place to rent, and you can go like beach clubs every night. Like So I came back, and that's when I was like, I want to like go proper into this. So then we looked into private label, and that's when that sort of like took a bit. That's when it went like quite big.
I think what it was, essentially when you was away in Bali, you was basically working for yourself because you still doing Amazon, but you was on holiday. Yeah. And once you got a taste for that, it was like, I can't go back to this 9 to 5. Even though, like I said, we did thoroughly enjoy it, but it kind of like wears off, done it. And then we done wholesale for a little bit, show me how it worked. Then we went into private label. But obviously, private label, you do need capital to go into it. It's a big investment. You've got just funding supplies, and you've got the advertisement. I think advertisement is probably the thing that's the final stage. Once you've got everything done, get your test orders out, when it's all turned up, it's then the advertisement that really can launch your products. You could have a 10 out of 10 products. That's unreal. If you don't advertise it correctly, obviously it's just not going to sell. It's not in people's faces.
Yeah, 100%.
So how long, when you started doing Amazon, like what was kind of time frames when you started doing private label?
That's a good question.
For me, maybe like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But obviously for Cal.
So it was really weird. Like I've done it kind of backwards, like compared to what everyone else does. So me personally now, anyone I know comes to me and they're like, I want to start Amazon. I'll be like, first thing to do is just start with online arbitrage, which we'll go on to in a bit because there's like reasons why I preference that now. But I started off with wholesale. Done wholesale for like, I've probably done wholesale for like a year straight just by itself. Done a bit of like RA every now and then, just like as a bit of fun. But I there was never any like long-term goal in RA for me. It was just like a bit of extra money on the side. Then we done private label. I started private label literally with Josh. That's basically when Josh like came on board because we was like, right, we'll launch a brand together. And then when we started working with each other, we was like, we work so well with each other. So at that point, we was like, let's just put everything in 50-50 together, work together. And then we started doing online arbitrage, but like,
a bit of RA.
Yeah, like I say, like a little bit of RA. But that's when I proper like joined arms with Josh. That's when we went like big, like massive on OA and realised like the scalability of that. So yeah, kind of done it backwards, how probably a lot of people would do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So did you do it backwards because wholesale was the way you initially learned it?
Exactly. So like my friend was doing well on wholesale, and like wholesale is good. Like it's not like wholesale's right. You can't start with wholesale. You can. Yeah. But I just think the idea a lot of people get from wholesale is like, if you start, give it like 6 months or whatever, you can be like 10 grand a month. Yeah. But that's just not realistic unless you've got loads of money. But with online arbitrage, something like that is actually more realistic. And then when you've got like a lot more money behind you, that's when you can start being like, I'm finding it tricky to spend all of this money. That's when you're like, I'll throw 10 grand into a wholesale order. Yeah. It just helps you like sort of like cut those
slow burner in the background essentially.
100%. That's like a wholesale, like me and Ben have always said. If you have 10, like say your budget's 10k and you've got to spend all of that, finding products on online arbitrage, you're going to be doing, unless you've got VAs, as we spoke about before, you're going to be sourcing a lot of stock. Whereas with wholesale, you get a spreadsheet, get a good product, you can do test order, see if it's good, and then you can chuck a fat amount of cash at, say, 5 different products, and then they just churn over like 30% ROI, guaranteed sales coming in every month, and just scaling up the Amazon side of it, really.
For sure. Yeah. Do you want to touch on why we prefer OA? I think it's more of a case of like, with OA, it's a case of like, you can scale it higher, but it's more because the OA, like, you can return the money much quicker.
Yeah.
So with wholesale, you do need a bit of capital, don't get me wrong. With the OA, you need capital as well, but your capital will come back quicker.
Yeah.
So if you put $5,000 in, you haven't got to essentially wait a month or 6 weeks for that to come back. That might all come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you can go again. So you might be able to do twice the amount in a month as opposed to wholesale.
Yeah. I think as well with like online arbitrage, for like people watching, all you have to do is you're not calling up wholesalers, you're not looking through spreadsheets, you don't have to get a spreadsheet scanner. You literally can just go on websites, people, places like Boots, Superdrug, go on the deals. If you've got a student discount, even better. Use something like SellerAmp SaaS, or well, that's the software I use. I don't know what everyone else uses, but like SaaS for me, just put in your prices, it tells you what it is, say you're happy, and it meets your peripherals, quick order. And the great thing about it is, usually, depending where you're buying from, get your returns, like say you get 90-day returns. If it really isn't selling, recall the product and return it. It's no risk.
Can you just explain, for context, we just had a nanos before this, so we didn't want to speak about too many things that we'd have asked about on the podcast and the nanos. We kind of saving all the good questions for the actual pod, but we kind of briefly touched on how you'd spend like a chunk of money on wholesale versus on an arbitrage. It was Cal, you explained to me. He just
I was actually itching. I was itching to say that. So it's like, this is another reason why I think online arbitrage. There's a couple of reasons why I think it's just like perfect for people who are just starting out or like don't have as much money. Like, first one being like with wholesale, a lot of people get the idea that it's like searching up online wholesaler UK or a brand wholesale and then just going on the website and trying to find a product. That's more what online arbitrage is closer related to than wholesale. With wholesale, you're not going to get anywhere unless you call someone. And like with a lot of people who do have like a 9-to-5 job, like the wholesalers are shut by the time they finish work. So the best way to start, in my opinion, would be doing online arbitrage, because you can source at whatever time in the day, because that is like website sourcing. You don't have to call anyone or do anything like that. Build up your capital that way, and then when you actually get to a nice lump sum, you can then start obviously moving into other things. But to answer your question about like how you'd spend the money, you touched on this a little bit, but the reason why it's so powerful is like if you had like $5,000, for example, and you like put $5,000 into a wholesale order, you would invest that $5,000 on the basis that you'd buy like a month's stock, and then you'd get that $5,000 plus 1,500, whatever, 30% ROI at the end of the month. You know, if you sell on Amazon, you'd know when you actually withdraw, you don't get the money as soon as you make the sale. You usually got to wait like 14 days, and then you get like the full amount. With online arbitrage, if you was to put $5,000 into like 50 products, or even one product, and that's a bad example, but let's say one product, but you buy like 10 units and they're like £500 each. Those 10 units could sell on day one. Or if you bought like 50 different products, because they're on different listings, they could all sell on at the same time on the same day.
They're like working together.
So they all work together. So you could sell $5,000 worth in like 1 week compared to $5,000 spread over 30 days. So you actually get that money back much quicker, and then can go again, keep going again.
So it's like spreading your risk. Like with like wholesale, with what you're saying, if you put $5,000 in one product, all your eggs are in one basket. Whereas if you have $5,000, you've got 50 products. They're all churning over at different speeds, and then you're also getting paid back at different rates. So you can get more products in. So you're not waiting on all of it to sell.
Exactly, and like people do like this whole like compound interest calculator thing where they're like 30%. If I keep returning 30% of my initial investment for like 12 months, I'll have like $500,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like that's more like relatable to online arbitrage, because you probably do get your money back within the 30 days, whereas wholesale, you don't get that money back for probably about a month and a half when you actually wait for your last ever sale.
For the payout.
And then the payout for that last ever sale. It's like, you can never do it really on a monthly basis, where online arbitrage is so much more accurate because you make the sale on the 1st of January, you've got that money back in full by the 14th at the very latest. So it's like you can double it up.
With online arbitrage, in terms of, because I know personally, when you're looking at buying a product, how do you know how deep to go on that product? Like, is it, because I know a lot of people see like 800 sales per month, but then they're not taking into account certain things on the listing, whether it's a variation or what. Like, how are you determining how much stock to buy of a product?
Yeah, 100%. So, like, there's so many factors, and what I like about Amazon as well, it's so unique to the seller, because you've obviously got to take into consideration like the amount of reviews you've got compared to like other sellers, because that does.
At the start, like, when I had no reviews, I was selling more, and then for some reason, someone said I sold a counterfeit good, even though it was a Ted Baker product from Boots.
Yeah.
Said it wasn't Ted Baker in it. They left me a 1-star review. I didn't win the buy box for about a month.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was my only review, and I couldn't appear it.
Exactly. So this is the thing people need to realise. That if you've got 100% feedback rate and you've got like, you know, let's say, a lot of online arbitrage sellers probably have maybe like 20. But if you like anything over 100 reviews, like, you're laughing. Like, you can probably take the buy box off the majority of people, especially a lot of people starting now. You're literally starting from like ground one, so you do have to build it up. So for someone who's got a little bit more of an experienced account, I mean, it's really simple. Like, people like really overcomplicate things, but the way we use it is we have a repricer as well, which we use. Which we can touch on. It's not one anyone else uses. It's like like a low key one. A lot of people use like the Seller Toolkit one, I believe, and a couple of others. And like what's that other one? The Profit Protector Pro. I think a lot of people use. Don't use any of them, but there's a couple more out there. But so we will actually like use the repricer in our determination as well. So if I'm looking at something with like 100 sales per month, and the way we determine the sales as well is through Keeper. We don't use Jungle Scout. I don't use SAS for sales per month data, and I don't use Bible Pro for sales per month data either. All of them are like really inaccurate. The most accurate software out there is Keeper, like by far, and it's only £20 a month.
I was saying this to him. I said, because he said, what was it? The one you said was better than.
I said Bible Pro was most accurate, and then you went, Keeper.
I said you'd laugh at him if you said Keeper. I said, because Keeper they get all their data from Keeper, don't they?
Well, this is
it. That's correct.
Yeah.
So Keeper is the only software out there where Amazon will actually give all the API data to them. So all these other software like Jungle Scout, Bible Pro, you know, they all get their data from Keeper and then put their own little twist on it. So the further and further you go down the line, the less accurate it's just going to be. You'd rather just go straight from the source, similar to like wholesale. Like, you'd rather go straight to the brand. So we use Keeper for everything. Not only is it the most accurate, it's like the cheapest software out there.
Yeah, it's the cheapest one.
So it's like, I don't know why more people don't use it, but I think a lot of it is it's not that user friendly.
It's not.
It's a bit complex.
I'm still trying to get my head around it.
Yeah,
it is hard, but I feel like if you understand that data they're showing you, it's like you just have such more of an insight. It's massive advantage.
Like the BSR, I still don't fully get my head around BSR. Like, it's just like a graph to me. Like, I understand it, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
But I feel like with beginners, like especially Keeper is something. Like, you look at Keeper and you just think, what am I looking at? Like, it's not, as you said, it's not user friendly. I think it's if you can nail it on once you've started and like you invest your time into really learning it. I feel like it can be very. That you can reap the rewards from it like a lot, because it's the most accurate. But like places like SAS, which I definitely used to use for my product analysis, because it's just like
simple,
isn't it?
Nice, yeah, exactly.
It just looks nice, and you just see the sales per month, and then I just look at the reviews, see how often the reviews are, like most recent reviews, see like get a rough idea of how much it's selling. Because I got told like a figure, it's like 200 sales per review. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's...
What the product's got certain amount of reviews and get the sales for that?
Yeah, so say a product's selling like 100 times a month, it would have a review every 2 months.
Yeah, I think with that, it just depends, innit? Because like some people, and that's why like reviews on products really, it doesn't actually mean that much, because what can happen sometimes is like, for a seasonal product, like that would bang in summer, like a swimming pool, inflatable swimming pool, that would bang in summer. You're looking at it like, it's got 1,000 reviews, like that is selling. Sell it in like mid-December and you're not getting any sales.
It's like, a great example. It's like I sent Cal an advent calendar and it was popping. It was like, that is going to sell bare, like we can't wait to do it. And then we realised it wasn't going to come in time for the 1st of December.
Yeah, so we were going to buy this advent calendar, yeah. It was like a Lego advent calendar and it was like
flying.
Popping. Like we're talking about like 10,000 sales a month. Like it was going to go crazy and we were going to go hard on it.
It was like an £8 profit margin. Like,
and I was looking at it and I was like, that is not getting into Amazon in the right time. Because we found that like end of November. And like, we're like, well, Christmas is like 25th, but I'm thinking it's a fucking advent calendar. Yeah. No one's buying an advent calendar mid-December. You've already done half of the advent. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be careful with things like that with like reviews and stuff. But yeah, the way I would work it out is simple. Keeper, sales per month, I'd look at it there. There's like a little number at the bottom on some. If there's no number, it doesn't sell. So that's the easiest way to look at it. It usually says like 50 plus, 100 plus or something like that. Although it's like not like 137, so you can't go like super accurate. I'd always just go on like, if it says 50 plus, I'd go on the basis that it sells 50 times. Just keep it simple.
Just keep it,
and I'd look at the sellers within £1 of our sale price we want to hit. See how many there are. I'd look at their reviews. If they're anywhere near ours, within like 10 reviews or higher, I'd put them as a competitor. If they're not, I wouldn't put them as a competitor.
So say you absolutely wipe the floor with them on reviews, you just think that they don't exist?
Yeah. If it's wholesale, I would obviously take that into consideration because I'm selling it over a month, so I need to make sure it's consistently going. But if it's online arbitrage and I've got 15 units, I'm like, I'll fly over this guy and I'll just make all the sales and I'm sold out. He can have the buy box after that. So that's the way I would look at it. But it's quite simple. I think a lot of people do like overcomplicate actual like product research. It's especially like now, like in Q4, you buy anything, it sells.
I feel like sometimes as well, so you can look too far into it. So you might say, I'm going to buy 5 products, and then it's a big competitor, but you know that your bot might be able to get you those 5 sales regardless. So you've got whether the risk is good enough or big, you've just got to take it into consideration, just go from there really.
Yeah, and as you said before, it's like a low risk business model with Amazon anyway. Like if you're going to get stock in, if it doesn't sell, it's not like you've got eBay, which usually is a bit more of an inflated price anyway. You probably might end up making a bit more profit on it. Obviously, Amazon's the one you want to be building up the reviews on. Yeah. But I do think I know quite a few people who do use eBay for like reimbursement, like when they get a return, and they're like the listings like deleted or anything, they've got to sell stuff like that. eBay is a good option.
That's something we need to do a little bit more of. Like
returns.
Yeah, because we like so when you do wholesale, like you get quite a lot of returns, and like a lot of the time, like we have got a part in the unit which is all returns, and there's so much money in that. And like it might be, without like leaking the product, it might be like a homeware appliance which has a scratch on it, which you might not necessarily want as a brand new product. You'd be a bit like, that's a bit annoying. Yeah. But if you was buying it second hand, you'd be like, oh, it's a scratch, that don't really matter. Yeah. So something like that, we should probably look.
The product's not faulty.
Even vintage.
Yeah, like there's so much like second-hand marketplaces out there where you can make money. It's just like it just comes down to time.
We've not looked into it yet. It will be something we will do. I think ultimately we'll devote something to doing that. But as of right now, we're just
just lazy. I actually think it's just lazy.
We get a return. It's like, you know, like sometimes you order some clothing. Yes, like you get a return. You get it, and you're like, I don't really care enough. I'll just leave it there. That's basically what we're doing at the moment. But we will get to. I've been saying I'm quite OCD like that. I've been nagging you, but
he's always the one who's like, let's clean up the units. And I'm like, do that next week. Yeah. So we've got. So I'll run you through like, because you don't need this site straight away. But we started. I had one in. I won't say the area, but I had one in an area near to where I lived, and that was a first one I got. That was a 75 square foot in the pitch black dark. Like,
freezing
cold. It was awful. Yeah. So like, it wasn't 24-hour. That's one thing I'd say as well. If you're going to get a unit, please invest the extra money if you can into a 24-hour unit. Like, it makes all the difference. Not having to like be rushed, being locked into a unit. Do you know what I mean? You want to be able to like just freely roam in and out.
You don't want a 9 to 5 unit. You just want to be like
especially if you're working.
That's the whole idea of Amazon. It's like
flexible.
If you're going to take it full time, you need
working all night.
And if you've got an employee who you want to go in and pack stuff, and he's say like I've been told if you're looking for someone cheap for a packer, just go to like the old school I went to, find a kid charging like £7 an hour.
Exactly.
100%.
Get like
you want to be in the unit. Like you want to be in the unit late at night with your first start. Like you want to feel the graft. That's the come up. Like you want to always like it's just enjoyable to do. It's like that's what you want to be doing.
It's like this office here. Like when I'm here at night, coming here in the day is nice, but being here after work hours is something.
You feel like a sense of like pride that you're doing something. It's independent. It's nice.
And you're here later than everyone else. Like you kind of feel that your work rate is so big that the day you're ending at 5, you're ending at 9, or whilst you watch everyone go home out the window, you're like, yeah,
still working.
We're working, then you work at 9, and then you wake up, and whilst you've been sleeping, that's just been ticking over. It's just like enjoyable.
Just to put it into perspective, like a 75 square foot unit, how many of this room is it?
It's not one of this room.
It's not this room.
Oh, is it smaller or bigger?
Smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you take out that little cut out there for sure, wouldn't you?
I'd say
it's like a garage.
So for you, like behind the camera, there's like a bit of space here. You take this out. I'd
probably say in line with me in that.
No. I'll put it easier. Where the black foam starts on that wall to that wall, that's probably about 75 square foot.
See, I'm looking at that thinking if you're doing wholesale, that's not that much stock.
Yeah, it's not. But another thing to remember as well, like with the wholesale, it's like it should if you're doing it proper, it should literally be in and out. So you've got one order, package it straight on boxes. I was quite fortunate with the unit I had. They let me put stuff in like the loading bay when I was done with it, so I could like pack up my boxes, all like CCTV surveillance, put it straight up in the loading bay. So I'd have like 20 boxes in the loading bay, which would have never got in my unit. Because I could pack them in the unit, move them. It was long, but move them into the loading bay. I could have like 200 square foot worth of space, which is my unit can hold, but I could move it out there. So you kind of just got to work with what you got really. And like, I think the thing as well, like if you get a unit, try and be as pally as possible with the people who work there, because they can actually make your life so much easier. Like we've got 2 people at our unit,
both sweethearts,
Rob and Gary, shout out. They are actually
shout out to Gary for sure.
Like we would have wholesale orders coming here, pallets worth. They're literally there on the, what's it called, the pump truck.
The pump truck. So essentially they'll put it in the unit for us as well.
Straight in the unit. So sometimes if I, because the unit's a bit of it's about a 25-minute drive from my house.
Yeah.
If I can't be bothered to go to the unit that day, they will put it into the unit for me, lock it up, padlock it up, and I don't have to go there for days.
Give us a little text, like 8 boxes in the unit for you. It's like perfect.
Yeah. It's honestly so nice. That's a really, and obviously when you're sending stuff off, what we do is like, we'll put all our boxes in our unit, lock it up. When the UPS driver comes, he talks to Gary and Rob. They open the unit and the UPS driver just takes all the boxes, puts them in a van and goes, we're not even there. I'm never there.
We're never there.
What day does it say? Wednesday. Now, if there's stuff being picked up today,
we're never there for
been
collection.
Picked up, but we've not been there today. Like it's amazing. But I think that obviously just comes with like you just got to be nice.
So you're not doing your own packing, are you? Have you got packers?
So occasionally, like we have people pack for us, but again, it's just like family members on the odd time. Like you get someone who's not even got their national insurance done, but swing them like a tenner. You're lucky.
Like even your missus might want to pop in and see what's going on. Like it's just little things.
Yeah, we'll sometimes have both our missus down packing, all 4 of us together. Like if we can't be bothered, or if no one's free to get people in, we just won't get people in.
It's part of the journey.
We'll happily go in. Like we enjoy that. Like it's good fun. I do say if you're just starting, definitely go in yourself. Like see how it all goes.
Yeah,
like, it's enjoyable.
Have the experience. Because like, we had someone who we were paying, and like it got to the stage where like. It wasn't worth, like what we were paying was not worth what they were doing, although it was given the free time. I was like, we could just go in and do this ourselves. Or you could just do the odd like 0 hour thing where you just get a couple of your pals in, let's all pack. And there's like the QC side of it, like the quality control. It's like, you just don't see if it's all being done correctly. So it's a bit like, there's a bit of a worry, because if you, like for people out there who sell on Amazon, like one massive thing, which is a bit of an annoying thing I'd say with Amazon, is when you're printing off your labels, depending on how you print them, there's another big gem, we'll go on to that actually in a bit, but when you print your labels, like it doesn't always give you the full title of the product. Like you get like something ... and then like the last sentence of the product on like your little
one like that sometimes.
Yeah, but we've got multiple variations of stuff.
But if you've got like a mouthwash, for example, which has got different flavours, you bought it on wholesale, you've got like original, a mint, a peppermint.
Yeah.
If they're all on the same listing on different variations, you don't know what one is what on the label.
To stick onto the box.
To stick onto the
relabel,
because you don't know. I'm a bit anal when it comes to things like that. So I'm very like, I'll know because I'll remember the last 3 digits of that SKU. But for someone who's like working and just wants to get on with it and just crack on and stick on, they're not looking at stuff like that. They're just like, yeah, bang it on.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like, we're still working part time, so it's like if it's not your business, you don't really.
Yeah, they're getting paid regardless.
You're still getting a tenner
pick up your wage and then you're off.
Do you know what I mean? In and out.
Whereas like I do my packing with my dad and my stepmom, like they're a big help, but they'll sit there and they'll go, are you sure it goes on this one? And are you sure it goes on that one? And I'll like tell them, like, I'll make sure everything's labelled right, and then get like all the poly bags, whatever, bag it up, box it. I don't pay for boxes though, so because
Get them free. Oh, from
around my house.
Oh, okay.
My dad's again like good reason to be friends with people. He's friends with the owner, and he says if you want any cardboard, take it out the cardboard bin. So I just go grab some boxes, go
Happy
home.
days.
Scrounge around bins.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking around
Happy
the bins.
days, mate. Honestly, but these are little things though, which like people like don't even know about.
We had a
mayor.
we have a mayor getting rid of some rubbish and cardboard sometimes. It's like it's so hard to actually dispose of it.
Yeah, pallets. That's probably why he's like, yeah, just take it. Like,
Yeah, because for you're doing each other a favour. Like you're taking it off him.
But then you get something. And it's
Exactly,
like, it's like someone else's rubbish, someone else's treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I do think it is good to have like good networks, like good relationships with people, so the suppliers, like as you said, people for your unit, employees. If you've got employees, keep them happy, keeps the business running smoothly. But yeah.
So do you, like, it's an interesting dynamic having like a partner that you do Amazon with, or just any business. Do you hold yourself accountable, or do you ever like snap at each other like, why aren't you doing this?
I don't know if we've ever
You know
argued.
what? That's so funny because I think about this all the time. Like, we've never actually proper had an argument ever.
And how long has, like, since when? Like,
Ever.
How long?
Ever.
No, but like in terms of years.
So
and
we've known
months,
each other
like-
for how long? If
We've
you
known
say
each
it's
other
actually
for-
not that long when you think about it. So there probably is a couple of arguments to come. But
One like about 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think we've got one on the way.
No,
home,
we've
but-
known each other for since it's been about a year, nearly 2 years. No, it's about 20 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's
About
about 2
20
years,
months.
and like, I think the reason why do we not argue?
Because we just come in cycles. We're like, even with the private label, there's just certain things he'll do and he smashes it, and then I'll do my thing. It's like we just work well, and we're just honest from the start with each other. Like we'd say to each other, like, we doesn't need to get to that point of an argument because we would address it or we would have spoke about it already.
Because you have like little things you obviously have a little go at each other about, but what we said, yeah, when we first came on board for like 50-50 together, is like we said, if any one of us starts to like slack or is not doing as much, the other person just needs to tell them straight and just say it how it is.
Have you ever had to do that?
Never. Because
Never.
we know that we've had that conversation. So knowing that in the back of your mind, it's like you don't want to be the one who that person's having the conversation with you
It's a
about.
healthy competition as well.
Nah, it is.
100%.
And I'm like, he's working harder than me. I'm like,
100%.
Like,
100%.
As much as you like your boys and like you love each other and like.
If we're sourcing
Yeah,
together,
like, it's just like he's working harder than me. Like I can't have that. Like I need to. Like if anything, you're like, I need to do more than. And then you're both like doing more than each other.
Healthy
and next thing
competition.
you know, you're smashing it because you're both just doing so much for each other.
if Cal messaged me saying like, "Oh, I've got a banger, I've got an unbelievable 08 lead," I'm like, right. I get the laptop out and I'm just flicking through
Straight on it.
It's just like essentially like I was away for the missus' birthday this weekend, so I wasn't working Monday. But I just told Cal that. But I'm happy I'm going to work Saturday or Sunday. So it's like we don't need to communicate that because obviously me not working doesn't benefit me. Like
Yeah,
it's a case
exactly.
of like we want to work. Like
Yeah, it's money.
that is the whole point. Like what we were doing previously, we were making good money, but now we've not quit that job to make the same money or less money. Like we want to just
more.
like scale it, of course.
100%. And I think like as well, it's one of them things where I know like, when was that you went away? Monday, Tuesday? It was yesterday and the day before.
Sunday,
wasn't it?
Monday, Tuesday.
I don't even need to message him and be like, oh, are you working today? Because I just know what's going on. And if I don't see him on our sheet, like we've got a live sheet, which obviously we'll put leads on, the VAs will put leads on.
Well, I secretly try and get in there before you, by the way, in the
I know,
morning.
he's always on there before me.
I always have a little gander.
But like, if he's not on there, I'm not going to be like, oh, what's he doing? I'll just be like, right, oh, he's doing something. He's busy doing something. Because I know he's not going to slack because it's just only not going to benefit him in the long run. So and I think it comes down to like a trust thing as well with the two of you. Like as long as you both have got the same like aspirations and where you want to go, then you just put that trust in each other. And like there'll be times that he's probably working till like 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm fast asleep. So it's like you just both make up the hours. But like we'll have like, we're quite bad for it, and this is why I think we wanted to come on the podcast as well, because like we'll literally sometimes just get on the phone at the start of the day, talk about like what we're gonna do for the day, and we will just be talking for hours about everything, about like where we want to be, like where
lost in that.
you seriously like you can genuinely just like proper go on a tangent, and then you're looking at the clock, and you're like, oh my god, it's like 2 o'clock.
But it's very good to like. I think manifesting is like the way we do it. It's like when we were speaking about it 6 months ago, where we want to be, and then we go by this point, we want to be there. But like at the moment, we've been ahead of all targets, and it's so like motivating and we're so driven that like, we wouldn't allow ourselves to have a dip.
You set yourself like little goals. Like I remember, sometimes I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to like you hit like an £1,000 day, and then when you hit that, you're like, now I can't wait to hit an £1,000 day by 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and if we don't hit that £1,000 day, it's like we won't allow that.
Yeah, and then you just work harder. You've got to keep setting yourself little goals, and obviously, like I think the manifestation part is like massive. I think you've got to know.
I'm always saying this to like my mates. Like, I'm quite big on metaphysics and like the subconscious mind and things like that.
100%.
I think, obviously, I think manifestation is real, but I also don't agree with people who think they're manifesting something but they're not doing anything like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is your action, but your mindset towards things is how you're subconsciously thinking. Like if you wake up in the morning and you're like the first thing that comes to your brain is, I need to make some money today. Your actions will provoke it will provoke those actions, and then you will end up making money. Whereas people will be like, oh, I really want to be rich, but like I don't know what to do. So I feel like you just need to actually do something.
Put yourself in the right places.
Places. Like even if it's like a friend group, like I'd say like this office is a blessing. Like we're all, like I'd say, in a similar place in terms of where we want to get to, what our aspirations are in life. So some people have bigger, some people have smaller, and like as you could call it more realistic. In my opinion, there isn't such thing as realistic in terms of goals. Like if you want to do the work, you could get to where you probably want to be. But it's good to have that support system around you, and especially because there's two of you. I feel like you can, like, because obviously you're going to have bumps in the road. Like not every day is going to go perfectly. So if someone's thinking, oh, really it's getting to me a bit, like I don't know if you've ever had that where one of you's just been like, oh, I don't know if this is working, whereas the other one's still got that hunger in them still, and they're like, no, just stick to it, like trust the process, like at some point it will come. And that's what like we're saying to each other all the time. We're like, something bad could go wrong, but we're just thinking, oh, it's just like a small hurdle.
Oh mate,
if you've got like 6 more of you,
it's a long journey as well.
If you want it to come like one amount of times I used to say, oh my god, look at that car, I imagine having that watch, and come like, what do you mean imagine? He's like, I'm having that.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm gonna get it.
I've always been like that. Like,
I've never been that guy. He's always, I'm like, look at that car. He's like, nah, like, I'm gonna have that in a couple of years.
We'll go out, even to this day, I'll do the same thing. Like, I'll go out with my missus, and then I'll obviously see like a nice. I'm really into cars. I'll see a nice car, and she'll be like, "That's a nice car." I'm like, "Don't look at it." I'm like, "Don't even look at it," because I'm like, if you're looking at it, like admiring it, it's almost like you're looking at that, like it's something you're never gonna have.
Yeah.
Like I don't even look at stuff like that because I'm like, one day that will just be normal. So it's like, just stick to what you do.
Yeah, you have to make it normal to yourself.
It might be a bit of like an arrogant way, but it's just, I don't know.
I think it's a good way to like focus. Like if you look at things like, have you got a $250,000 car? You're like, there's no chance people earn 30 grand annually. It's like, it's impossible, but it's not. Because if they've got it, exactly, if they've got it, it's like.
The only person doing it.
And having that mindset of I wish, it's like that's all you're gonna be. You're gonna be a dreamer.
Yeah.
Just gonna sit there and just wish you had things.
Exactly. It's a bit like in Dubai where, after like maybe a month of being there, you wouldn't look at every Lamborghini that kind of drives past because you'd see it every single day. It's normal. I still look at nice cars and think like, and turn my head. But now I've heard that, I'm not going to give in to it anymore.
Well, I turn my head, but I look at it and I think of the interior, and I'm like picturing like,
what you're gonna have.
I'm just like, I'll picture myself. Just
what
like,
it'd be like,
like, I'm not like going, oh, that's not gonna happen. I'm just thinking, I can't wait for that. That, and I'm like living it, and I'll picture it. And
I think that's probably what I'm like a little bit as well. It's not like I'm not like hating. I'm more just like I'm like, imagine me in that. So now I've just got to focus.
Is
it like that? You know what I mean?
It's coming.
I think it comes from like, obviously in Amazon we were like, oh my god, imagine if we could do that a day. And when you start doing that a day, you're like, oh my god, look what this guy's doing. And then when you're doing it, you're just like, it's just, of course it's possible. But we do work, like, we do work for ourselves, and don't worry, we love it. Like, of course it's like enjoyable. It's like, we work so much harder than I used to work. And also, making $2,000 in your own company is much more impressive than making 4 or 5 working for someone else. Like,
because it's yours.
You're generating your own £2,000. That's massively impressive. Like, so hard. But when you get there, like, you just prove to yourself. It's like, it's just me like proving yourself right. That you just feel good and you believe in yourself and you just keep going.
Was there anything about like, you know, in a Fury beat Klitschko and he won all the belts and he said like, now like I've wanted to be here my whole life, 20 years of being alive. Now I've done it, and he went into a slump and then he got like banned and everything. Was there ever a point in time like where you had a milestone, for example, 10k a month? Everyone's always going about 10k a month. That is like the number. Maybe 10k a month sales revenue and profit. Was there ever a point where you reached that and then you reach yourself like a slump and you'll drop him off.
I don't think he would allow that. I think he's very like, no.
I think, I don't think, with the Tyson Fury thing, I think it's a bit different because obviously it's like he actually completed it.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything else
That's
to
the
do.
pinnacle.
When it comes to like your own business, like you can always go further. So I think for something like that, not really for us, I don't think in the Amazon game at all, it probably just like motivates you like even more. Like when you hit that like 10k profit, now you're like,
anything's possible.
now I can.
Yeah.
Now
if we ever got to that point, we would probably just branch into another like adventure. To be honest with you, like we'll just find something else we enjoy as well. But no, I don't think any type of money I'd be upset with.
I was listening to an Alex Hormozy podcast the other day, and he was saying how even though he's made all this money, Stephen Bartlett was like, "What are you happy with?" And he was like, at this point, it's not even the money; it's that he sees business as like a game.
Yeah.
Like he was like, there isn't an end to the game. It's just like as long as you're making money and you're surviving, you're playing the game and you're enjoying it. Like as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and you're making your money, even if it isn't 50k a month, but if you're like living comfortably and you really enjoy what you're doing and it's giving you the life you want to live, then I think like that's the main thing. But I feel like for people like me, people like Ben, people like you boys, like I want to be making like those 7 figures, those 8 figures, like touching those levels. Like it's like the finer things in life, like you want to be experiencing that. But no, I do think it's definitely good to like have those milestones, but then also realise. I think if you take the time out to like appreciate the work you've put in to get there, but then you think, oh, I'm not even touching the surface of what I want to be at yet. Like let's get back on track now. So I feel like it's good that you boys have those mindset.
Yeah, I think there's one person that obviously we've spoken about before. That's always like I would like to get anywhere near that. Obviously, we won't say their name, but that is one person that we had a mentor for PL.
Oh yeah.
That's like that just shows you there's like so many levels. To it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I think that's why Amazon is such a good like business model, because it's like the turnover is so quick. When we first got our accountant, like we got like an e-commerce specialist accountant. So obviously they see like big growing businesses all the time, and like when like we talk to them about like figures and stuff like that, they're like, we talk about like, right, we need you to do our last year accounts or something, you know, for example, it was X amount, and they're like, okay, cool. They're like, okay, what's it going to be this year? And you say the figure, they're like, what? It's like Amazon businesses can just grow like so much, like 50% a month, like keeps on going up and up and up. Like that's just ridiculous when you get to like big figures. Like
for any business, like 40%. We've done like something with that 40% increase from last week.
It's crazy.
It kept going up and up and up. It's like, what business does that? It's like
and the thing is with Amazon as well is like once you master the basics, which is really not that tricky to get your head around, it just comes down to money.
Yeah,
and it's such a money game. Like if you've got money, you can make loads of money on Amazon, and like there's an element of time to it as well. But that's why it's so good, because when you start going and you're doing like maybe $5,000 in profit a month. With that $5,000, like you can just put that straight back, or if you're doing it full time at that point, take a bit out, put it straight back into the business, and then you can just keep going and going and going. And then when you get to like a certain level, I say like the level where like things start to snowball quickly is like when you do like anywhere from like $6,000 to $8,000 a month in profit.
Yeah,
that's when your business just flies.
For sure.
Because that extra amount coming in every single month, like thrown into like stock, it just makes all the difference. That's when like people's like bars start like flying up, because it's just so much more money like going into the business.
Yeah, because you see, I see anyway, so like the Discord group, and when people post their success, it'll be really little like increases every month, and then they'll just go bang,
It's compound.
Bang.
Yeah.
They're just, then the next thing you know, like they would have started 6 months ago. First 3 months they've done maximum not even 10k sales, and then 3 months later they're doing like 30k sales in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
We had 1 month where I just messaged him. I was like, mate, we just skyrocketed. It was just like,
yeah, it's just like you say. It's just I think that's why I like OA a little bit more as well, because I think that the point of Amazon, why it can be so fun for people, is just the element of like the surprise. It always keeps you interested.
It's been proven right as well. It's like you have a little gander.
You're thinking, oh, if I keep doing this, I might find something that's like a gold mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I think when we were doing like wholesale fully, it's great. The numbers are really high. They're obviously much higher than you'll start with on OA if you've got obviously a bit of money behind you, but it's always going to be the same. like every day, you're not ever thinking there's going to be a Hail Mary day here where it like doubles, and it kind of gets a bit boring. Even if you're doing like £1,500 a day, if you're just consistently doing that, I think it comes back to your point you were saying about when you get like that level where you're a bit like, oh, this is so boring now.
It's like the norm, isn't it?
Wholesale can get a bit like that, where like you don't maybe find another product for another 2 weeks and you're sitting there looking at I say £1,500 like it's no money, like it's obviously still a lot of money, but it's like it gets boring constantly
that's
seeing.
Normal to you now. That's the thing. Like that's normal.
It's normal, and like no matter what figure, even if it was 30 grand a day, it's like if you constantly always saw that, it would get a bit boring. So that's why OA I think is fun, because one day you could be sitting there on like £1,500 in sales, the next day you're doing like 4.5 grand. It's like, that's mad. And the only thing which has changed is you've maybe had more products check in for that day, or your bot or your natural buy box percentage has just gone up in that day, and you've just like all of a sudden got these big sales come in, or like there's loads of low ballers on a couple of listings, they've all sold out, now it's your turn, and all the sales come in, and there's almost that like, this is fun again.
It teaches you patience as well, and I think especially like if a listing crashes, like waiting for the low ballers to sell out, and then you come, it's like you're waiting for your money essentially, but if you've got like, as you said, like a lot of stock coming in, you've still got it churning over there, and at some point you will get that money back.
Yeah, so we discuss it, don't we? So there'll be some products where it's a really good ROI, and we'll look at the sales per month, and it's quite low, but we'll just say, listen, with our bot or just with a natural thing, we know we're going to get those sales, they will be gone, whether they go in a month or two, they're going to sell. So you've got to just look at those kind of risks. It's not really a risk as such, is it? It's more just a time game.
Our risk, like, what's the word? Like risk. They say it in trading a lot. Yeah, like risk management. Risk management on our bot is like insane. Like the return. It's like in the first month, if we don't make a sale, then we will drop it down to like 15% return on investment. So you're still making money. And if it doesn't sell within 2 months, which like rarely happens, like very once in a blue moon, then on the third month, you go to a break-even price. Like that's what people don't realise. It's like,
you don't lose
I haven't
money,
sold
you just
something
get your money back
for 3 months and I've gone, I'm all right with getting my money back. It's like a bank. It's like putting your money in a high-interest bank.
We've had some products that haven't sold and we go, I'll just lower it. And we just lower it, break even, might make whatever, just take it back and it's done. It's so minor, it's like not even a big deal.
I think it's refreshing to hear a lot of people very set on their ROI levels and won't settle for anything less than 30%, because obviously that's like the golden rule, like 30% ROI. So I feel like hearing, because it is realistic, like I've had to sell products for like 20% ROI. If they're not selling, they're not selling, and if you've had it in there for a while, you're getting charged for like the fees for Amazon to hold it. So it's like you might as well get rid of it. Like it's not doing anything sat there, you might as well get the money back, get new products.
Yeah, so we actually do it slightly different. So our figure is 20% ROI at the least.
Yeah.
So what's the profit margin? 10?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, you don't care. It's purely
It's as long as it's because we'll only buy something if it's obviously we know it's going to sell within the month.
Yeah.
So I would so much rather buy 100 units of something which is making a 20% ROI, but I know they'll all be sold within like a week or 2 weeks, and buying something with like a 40% ROI, 1 unit makes the same amount of money, but I just don't know for certain if it's going to sell. Like ROI can genuinely sometimes like kill a business, because the big thing with Amazon is it's all about like turning over the money,
flow,
getting the money back, and a lot of people hold on to things for far too long. That's why we've got like every time we list a product, it automatically gets set up onto the bot, and then it goes onto those parameters like 30 days, 6 days, etc. So it's not something we need to play around with. We don't ever look at it. It just automatically does that. And a lot of people get so caught up on, oh my god, this is such a high ROI product though. Like I really want to wait to make all this money. I would be like, I'm dropping that straight down to whatever figure, and I'm getting my money in, and I'm out, and then I'm into something else. Because you could, if I bought a product for 20% ROI, but I know it sells within the first week, I could get that money back plus the profit, and then put it into another product, makes maybe another 20% in and out within 2 weeks. I do that 4 times. By the time that first one is sold at 40% ROI, I've sold 4 different products on a 20% and made more money on that single one. So it's like, that's the way we look at it. It's all about like, and this obviously only goes for online arbitrage.
Yeah.
When it comes to like private labels, different game. That's when you want to be doing like a 30% ROI, etc. Or you know, you can. I think everyone needs to have their own like parameters at the end of the day. I think sometimes it's everyone gets caught up on the 30% ROI just because that's what everyone does. So everyone's kind of just thinking, oh, we'll just do what everyone else does. If you just do your own thing and something you're happy with, you've got a plan. If I make a minimum 50% ROI, 15, I'll make good money and I'll just do that. Just stick with it. If you know that's going to work for you better, if you're constantly finding products which are only giving you like 15% return on investment, then I would start lowering your expectations and say, well, at the moment, this is what I'm finding a lot of. So I'm going to stick with this as my minimum for now. And if anything comes in higher than that, happy days. And then just work on it like that.
At the end of the day, you're still making profit.
Still make money.
Yeah, you're making money.
Do your expectations, does it vary with how much capital you have currently? Like, does it vary to each person? Because if you're starting with low capital, you might want to like grow quickly or have like a strategy of growth. If you have a large amount of capital, would you say you can like drop the ROI because you're just harvesting money?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, when you're first starting out, I wouldn't say go to like 20%. You want to be going high because you want to make the money back quicker, and then obviously get to the stage where you can, do it as a part-time or a full-time thing, like properly. And like, I think for a lot of people, they do get caught up on trying to find things at too high of an ROI, and like they'll sit there for like 3 weeks and like
you're trying to find a gem.
They'll like neglect stuff 50, 30, 40% ROI to find a good one when they could have sold all of those and made just as much money as that eventual gem they'll find. Sometimes it's just not being greedy. Like, just get on with it, learn straight away. I would just say, just find whatever's going to make you money. Like, have a minimum and then just go in and look. Obviously, if you can find things for higher, obviously, go for those preferably. But if not, then just buy stuff which is going to make money, because there are so many mistakes to be made with Amazon anyway. So it's like, you might as well give it a go, make a couple of mistakes, learn it right. I know not to do that this time. I know to do this. And then when you're like feeling like pretty much bulletproof, then you're like, right, minimum 30%, 20%, whatever, and I'm just going to go hard and just buy that as a minimum. That's what I would say.
What is the biggest mistake you've made?
So IPs and stuff?
Nah, not the biggest.
You can't help an IP, really.
Yeah, sometimes it just happens. So IP can sometimes be annoying. Biggest mistake? I don't know. I think I was kind of like taught by quite a like reputable guy, and he kind of did teach a lot of it to me. But I think a lot of the stuff with Amazon you do learn on the job. Like, you can't teach everything. I'd say the biggest mistake people make is probably selling a product on a listing which the brand is not listed as the brand name. Like, it's someone else. It's like a seller's name on the brand name.
Yeah. So you can't see the brands in the listing. Well, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Like, it might be like soap. It's like a simple soap, but they've got it as like Zion, random brand name says Zion. That's usually like a seller name or something like that. Yeah. You're like, you don't want to sell on those, obviously, because that person owns the listing. Although you can't there's a bit of a loophole, because you can't actually really do that with Amazon. Like, if Amazon saw that person would get in trouble for doing that. But regardless, you still are not allowed to also sell on that listing. So if you do, they'll just kick you off, and you might have bought, especially with wholesale. I see people make that mistake all the time. Big mistakes. And like, the guy would just be sat there. You've got sent in 1,000 units, and he's just gone flick, and he's just flicked you off the listing, and you can't do anything. Like, that's when you're done. Hopefully there might be another listing.
You can't return wholesale products either, can you?
Sometimes.
I think you can.
Sometimes, yeah, but they're really funny. Like, you've got to have like a really good lie or reason.
Yeah, because they don't like people selling on Amazon, do they? Wholesalers most of the time.
But yeah, that's a massive grey area. It really depends. Like, if you become like really friendly with someone in a wholesaler, sometimes you can just be honest, but
initially
play it off like, we're actually potentially going to start moving over into selling stuff on Amazon. We've seen a good return. Like, is this something you're going to be okay with? Yeah, mate, no worries. You spend like 15 grand every month with us, like no drama.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that straight off the get-go, then yeah, a lot of the time it's just a no, see you later. So it's what I mean. A lot of people constantly just lie forever to the wholesalers. And with wholesalers, it's a bit more easier to do that, because it's really difficult for them to catch you. But when you're looking at like brands are trickier, because they can just look on a listing and see your company name, and then they just know you've lied to them. So that's an issue. Yeah.
In the mentoring that I did, that's why like they always used to say never have your company name and your Amazon name the same.
Yeah.
Because then the brand will just go on a listing, like cross-reference your company name and the listing would be like, well, this guy's clearly selling Amazon.
100%. And I think a lot of people don't even really know like the back end of Amazon anyway. Like it's so easy to find out what the company name is for a random seller on the listing, but an obvious sign would just be if your name is the same as your company. They'll just know straight away. So it's good to keep those different if you are going to go down that like lying route.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I think OA is a bit superior, because you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to lie.
Yeah, getting stuff ungated can be annoying.
For sure.
A lot of big retailers don't get invoices. Boots, they definitely don't. I've struggled with them a few times. But
yeah, I mean with ungates, like there's a couple like cheeky.
There's a couple things you can do.
Yeah,
don't get me
I
wrong.
know like 2 or 3 methods to get the things ungated, but it's just a bit long-winded.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it just depends on like if that product's going to make you a lot of money, then it's just worth the hassle.
And if you know you're going to stock like more of that brand,
you just an invoice in it, and then the best way to do it.
Not to do
So you shouldn't really do that, right? But a little trick, like which will usually just get you auto ungated, so it doesn't even get checked by anyone, is like, and this doesn't work all the time, but it's got a good rate of working. Is go like you can get a real invoice. Don't like make a fake one completely. Like still go and get a real invoice you've bought. That's easy when you do wholesale because you've got so many invoices sitting there.
Yeah.
And then if you just get Adobe Acrobat, you can just
edit it.
like you don't even have to edit it completely. Like you can basically do a thing called like an OCR on the page, so it basically makes it like readable text. So that if you put your mouse over a word, you can literally like backspace it and change it. So when Amazon like review the invoices, a lot of the time they send it to like someone will review the invoice, like a person. But if it's like an OCR page, a lot like 9 times out of 10, they've got a system which will like scan through it themselves. So as long as you've got the word of the brand on there, and then they've got a number near that word bigger than 10. It's just like sometimes it's just an automatic ungate. You send it, you get a message back 30 seconds saying, yeah, you're approved.
Do they ever check? Would they ever ring up a wholesaler or anything like that and go, is this invoice legit? Like, did this sale take place on this date? Whatever.
They say they do. I've never had it happen. And I've sold on Amazon for like years.
I don't think they would.
I've never
I
had
think it'd
that
be way too much work.
They'd
be messaging everyone. That'd be way too much work.
What I do as well is if that, because that is obviously a worry sometimes, but. And again, the way to look at it is that this will only happen for stuff where you haven't bought 10 units from or you haven't got an invoice, right? So like, a lot of the time you will have the actual documents you need, but if in the case that you don't, which is rare, then yeah, I would just I sometimes redact contact numbers, so they don't know who to call. Like they've got to like type up themselves, and they're like, oh, this is long, like whatever. So I just take a number off to just make their life harder.
This is what I was saying to people. I feel like there is shortcuts with Amazon, especially, I don't know, but for me when I was sending off products, if you put no prep needed for anything, it will tell you if you need to put a polybag on it. So I usually put no prep needed for everything I send in.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
I'll
you
just
talk to go through the subcategories, weren't you? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So whenever I get a product in, just to be honest, I still to this day go on the Discord and the video link they sent and just go for like, is it soap? Is it loose? Is it etc.?
I just do not needed for everything.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same. Like, that is such a funny thing with Amazon, and again, I think this is just the whole thing to like long certain things out which don't need to be. It's really simple. Like, I would always put everything no prep needed, and if I feel like I needed to prep it, I'll prep it myself. But I won't tell Amazon I'm going to do that. I'll just do it off my own back. So no prep needed. If it says polybag, we'll polybag it. But we would have already known anyway that we needed to polybag that item. So like the only things to really look out for with stuff like that is just like cuddly like children toys. A lot of the time they'll usually come in exactly. Because these retailers will know these things anyway to do, and then liquids.
Yeah, liquids and
like other than that, like you really have not got to worry about them. People are so worried when it comes to prep and like that needs to be prep. It doesn't. No. Like genuinely, like with glass and it needs to be bubble wrapped. It's like just use your common sense. It's like if you want to put loads of glass stuff in a moving box and it rummage around UPS and you don't want to protect it, that's on you. Because by the time it gets to Amazon, they'll all be cracked anyway. So it's your money at the end of the day. You're going to do what you're going to do to protect it regardless. So you probably would put bubble wrap on a glass product. So yeah, the whole like prep thing is so like blown out of proportion. It's really simple. Really simple.
Do you ever lie about the weight of your boxes?
No.
No.
Because I've had that sting me once.
Wow. We round up, don't we?
Yeah, I always round up.
I'll round down.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No. You can do whatever, but we had. Was it with weight? Yeah, it was with weight, and you've got to be careful of obviously the size of the boxes as well. That's why we just buy boxes because we know it's always the same size. It makes life easier when we're prepping. But yeah, with weight, you can lie about. You can't, but you can lie about weight, I suppose, as long as you're in and around the figure. But anything over like 23, that's bad.
Oh, when it gets heavy.
When it goes over 23, you could get in some like proper trouble because it's like I think there's like some law or there's like a regulation in place where like humans shouldn't carry a box more than 20. It's not Amazon's rule. Like that's actually like a proper rule.
Health and safety wise.
Health and safety rule. Yeah. So
I didn't realise this, but I had 6 boxes, 25 kg each in the back of my car, and this is one of the first big orders I did. And for some reason, I just assumed that like any random Londis would take it. And I was like, yeah, hi, I've just got like a few parcels in the back. And they were like, yeah, cool. And I was like, can you give me a hand like carrying them out? And they said, well, no, any parcel that needs 2 people.
Too heavy.
It's too heavy. And I was like, I've got 7 of them. Like,
yeah. So
I have to get picked up.
Anything over 23, we will make sure we like make that much lower. Like we'll take loads out, put it in another box. We had to do that the other day.
Yeah.
We had like some really heavy like dog foods. And we're like trying to get them perfectly in a box, and it was like 23.5 on like 20 boxes.
It's just not worth the risk, even if it's a minor.
Yeah.
Anything over 23, if it was like 14.6 and you want to say it's 14, that's pretty okay. But anything over 23, it's just
because they come with receipts as well. Like Amazon, I had it happen. Basically, the reason I know is because it happened to me. Like they literally take a photo of the scale with your box on it, with your label. They're like, this was 24 kg. and you just have to go acknowledge. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I made the mistake. Yeah, so it can happen. If they don't send a photo, then you can get away with it.
I don't think I've ever sent a box over 12 kg.
Oh really?
All my to be honest, I haven't got any of them in stock anymore, so I don't care. But a lot of them were like plush toys and like eyeliners, like tiny little things. So I could stack in like 200 units in a box. It would be like 12 kg max.
Yeah. That's the thing, like small products are like the best.
I'm so sad about the Small and Light program as well, getting rid of it, because that I made a lot of money.
We never dabbled in small. Well, I never dabbled in Small and Light. So in the mentorship, I didn't realise it was a thing until like.
You not get taught it in the mentorship?
No. I guess.
I had to tell him about it.
I was like, Small and Light, what's that? And then it's only when I started searching up on TikTok, and then I got on like FBA Talk, and I started seeing it a bit more, and I was like, well, I've never been taught this. I guess it's because I never used it, so I don't really know like the ins and outs. But didn't it? Was it not shown out to Prime customers or something to do with like it took longer? It took longer or something.
It removed your product from Prime delivery. That's what it did.
Yeah, you get like the Prime badge, but it was not next day. Yeah, because they like ship it with Royal Mail. But so. With that, because I think everyone was having nightmares when that went, but like because that's actually a bit of a blessing though in disguise, because like what people don't realise is like although the Small and Light program went, there were a couple annoying things about the Small and Light. We had to always enrol the product, and then sometimes it'd be wrong, and they say it's not eligible. It is.
It's not eligible.
Yeah, see that would wind me up.
It's like this big, and it's like 50
and you'd have to then contact them. So that's one thing I'm actually happy it's not there for anymore, to be honest, for that reason. But what was I going to say? I was going to say about the... Oh yeah, the thing what's good about it is like all these products now, which are like below £10 and are small, their sales have like gone through the roof because you can now get next day delivery on all these products. Yeah. Whereas everyone else before, everyone would stick it on Small and Light to make more money, but for the actual end consumer, that's not a benefit. No. Like no one could really order makeup on Amazon, for just an example, because a lot of makeup's usually Small and Light, and get it next day. So there was no real massive market for like next day delivery on makeup. So when they got rid of it and there's now this massive market, you look at like makeup now, like that just flies through the roof. You look like these, do you know what I mean? Like they make
honestly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Honestly, like, the amount of Amazon sellers buying from there at the moment.
Yeah.
How much would it have actually varied the ROI? Was it big?
It used to take off like 40%, like add on. 40%.
Well, it all depends on
It would
like
go
what.
from like a 30% ROI to like 75.
Sometimes it could do like 100.
Yeah, it was mad. Like it was adding like serious ROI
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And I never lost a buy box with it either. I still sell it. Fine.
Yeah, I think because if a product was eligible for small and light, usually if you had a brain, you would have used small and light. So then everyone's also on the same playing field. But you could come on if you had a really good price, not small and light, and just nick every single sale. That's the only thing about it, which is a bit like if someone came on with a banging price, like you were done.
Yeah. Just to change the subject, in terms of OA, how much would you recommend for people to start with in terms of OA? If they're, let's say they're going for a minimum, I personally think a minimum 30% in terms of OA starting off is like an attainable way to source. So
do you mean capital or as an ROI?
No, like in terms of capital, how much capital would you start with? Because I think if you're starting with say £500, you don't really want to be looking at 20% just yet. Like you want to have at least a few grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. You haven't got to like worry about the ROIs as much. I'd say it'd be nice to start with like at least £1,000 or like 1,500.
Yeah, that's what most people say.
Just because also like you don't want to be too scared, or you don't want to be going through picking and being really worried. Also, you do want to spend as long as you can afford it. You want to put aside money to be all spent. So if you've got 1,500, spend it all.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That's a big thing. Like when I started, I wasn't used to spending money.
Yeah, of course.
Because you live your whole life, and I don't know about like a lot of people's parents are like, oh, you have to save, don't spend recklessly.
Get a mortgage.
And then because you're starting a business, you're thinking, I'm going against everything I've ever been.
Yeah, of course. I had a real nice amount saved, and obviously when we went into Amazon, we were starting together. Just like Cal was like, we need to get it all in. And so you think it's a big risk, and like, but when you look at it, it's like a high interest bank account. It's like you just put all your money in.
Yeah.
So all that money is just sit there in, let's say, a Santander account, whatever. You put it into Amazon, and it feels like a risk, but once it comes back, it's just like, and you can be a bit scared or a bit like, oh, I don't know about that, but as long as you're doing all your due diligence correctly, once it returns, it's just you basically put your money in plus 30% on top, as long as you're doing it correctly. So I'd say £1,500. What would you say for the ROI if you were just starting new?
I think it just depends, doesn't it? Like, I think it just depends on the person. Like, if you're sourcing and you are just putting every hour into it and you're smashing it, then you can go for like the lower ROIs because you're putting in loads of hours.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly finding new products. But if you're someone who hasn't got a lot of time, then yeah, it might be better to go for much higher ROIs, because there's some ridiculous ones out there. Like, for example, like there's little things you need to take advantage of when you do like arbitrage in any manner, and that's why I quite like arbitrage, because it kind of gives you these little tips and tricks just for life in general. Like if you've got an Amex card at the moment, like you get like £100 credit with Dell every year. You get like 50 quid in the first 6 months and then 50 quid in the latter 6 months of the year. So what you just do is you just buy £50 of any product which is on Amazon because it's free. You buy it, spend the money with the Amex card, they credit it back, send it off to Amazon, and that's cost you zero. That's pure profit. And there's little things like that you need to take advantage of. Like you said, like student discount. Oh my gosh, like student discount is like
that can make things unprofitable profitable.
It's ridiculous.
It's
it's actually ridiculous. Yeah, like it turns a 20% ROI into a 30% ROI. Do you know what I mean? Like that extra 10% off, it just makes all the difference. So I definitely think looking at little like you need to get Cooper, you need to get top cash back, you need to get all these things. Never factor those into your ROI, obviously, but that's just extra. Do you know what I mean? That's just extra money at the end of the year. You look back, you've got like £5,000 in a top cash back.
Yeah,
I
went to Christmas, I had like £90 in credit on my Boots card.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's Christmas present. So
you're laughing, yeah. And like what I'd say as well, this is like probably one of the biggest things when it comes to OA. Like the biggest thing, if you want to make and scale quick, credit cards. Not financial advice, but credit cards are like one of the best ways just to help you scale, because that's like the hardest thing with Amazon is cash flow. And when you get credit cards, majority of business cards nowadays will give you like 1% cash back as well. So if you're spending like, I'm talking late game for obviously a lot of people, but if you're spending like 30 grand on a credit card every month, you're getting like that 30,000 points. You build those up through the year. That's like a free upgrade for you. If you go on holiday, you're like "Shut up, babe, I might be able to get us an upgrade here," or buy the flights entirely through the points. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gets to the point where like you're not even spending your own money. You're actually spending what like the business has earned you just through points which you had to spend anyway. So that's, I think looking at cashbacks and stuff like that is so important. There's just like easy, like free ways of just getting money in as well.
So how would you two go about sourcing from an arbitrage for like people getting started? Like don't go like too into depth with your methods, but like what would you say is the best place to start and like learn how to source?
So we do seller front quite, don't we?
So we've got a couple of VAs who do like a bit of everything. Like so they're taught by a company. They'll do like loads of methods, maybe some methods that we don't even know of, to be honest, and they'll just find their leads. That's obviously one way we'll get leads in. Second way, and like it's simple and the best in my opinion, is the seller storefront stalking. That's ridiculous. And then last, I would do keeper sourcing. Like we touched on earlier, like the keeper data you can like narrow down on is like next to none.
You can refine it to like,
there's no other software out there which can go that in depth. And if you've got the right filters, the right person gives you the right filters. And by the way, you can literally just go on YouTube and find these like keeper, online arbitrage sourcing, go copy one of theirs. That will literally just give you things which meet the usual criteria of something which has been bought on a deal. So the way they manipulate that is like looking at like how often the buy box drops down. Like if the buy box drops down every day by a penny, the chances are that's probably going to be like an arbitrage lead because you've got loads of people penny pinching. So that's like a filter which could get you loads of arbitrage leads. Ideally, you don't really want to jump on listings like that, but that's just an example. But for anyone starting, just do seller storefront stalking.
I smash the seller storefront like sometimes. Like I will not let myself like finish until I've got like a certain amount. Like we can smash that out.
Yeah, but there's like a criteria. So it's not just as simple as like going on someone's storefront, clicking on every single one of their products and doing that. That's just that will just take far too long.
Like, so that's what I do.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
If I look at it and I'm like, well, obviously I'm not going to be able to find that. I'll do it, but I go through quite a lot.
Yeah. So what I'd say for like people starting out or like people doing it but may not necessarily know like the best way to do it, the best like sort of criteria to have is find a seller on a popular listing which is usually like arbitrage products. So a good way is like you say like on Notino, a lot of the products they sell is just flooded with Amazon sellers, Amazon arbitrage sellers. So I'd go through one of those products for an example. We've got like a list of like key arbitrage products on a sheet, and I'd recommend everyone to do the same, which we'll always come back to whenever we need to source a new storefront, and we'll just pick randomly from one of those products or a brand of that where the product's from. That's usually like an arbitrage. I'll go through the seller. The seller we would look for is anyone from 50 to 200 reviews. That'd be the first check. Anyone below that or above that is probably going to be a wholesale seller. No point looking.
I was told anything from 0 to 100 because if they've got less than 100, like if they've got more than 100, they're quite an experienced seller, so they're probably doing wholesale.
I guess it depends what kind of stage you're at really, but we do 50 to 200.
Yeah. So the reason we wouldn't go anyone lower than 50 is because the leads they're finding might not be the best. They might not be as experienced. Like we know someone with at least 50 reviews is probably going to be finding like half decent leads. So that'll be the first check. That's just what we do. Next one would be you stalk on SaaS, don't you? Yeah. So you get like the graph on the right and then you get all the data on the left. So first thing we always look at is on the right of the graph. If Amazon have a coloured part of the graph where it's like nice orange, don't even look at it. We don't even look. Even if they're never on the buy box, we just don't look at it. It's just pointless because you just never know. They could come back on, it just ruins your day. That'll be the first check. Next one is the pink line. So the pink line is like the new FBA seller's price. That needs to be trending up or stagnant. If it's trending down, by the time you've bought the product, packaged it, sent it in, that price which was there might be like way lower. So we want one going up, because if it's going up, we know it has sold for less before, but there's a lot of room for it to come back down to like that price. Still make sure you're profitable at that first initial price, but it just means that like there's probably less people on the listing at the moment because it's trending upwards. So people are like taking advantage of the less sellers on the listing. And last would be the person who you're stalking, if their price is within £1 of the buy box price, we would then look for the lead. If it doesn't meet those criteria, we don't look at the product.
But initially, the main thing I do is if Amazon's selling it, I literally don't even look at the price. I'm just going through the graphs. I'll just flick through for ages until I find one without Amazon.
Oh, so you look for a graph?
I literally won't even look at the products on the left.
Yeah,
I'll just
or
go for
graph.
the graph on the right.
Oh,
I'll just
yeah.
flick through really quickly. If I see anything of orange, don't even look at it. If I see anything empty without orange, I'll check. If it's not, flick through it. That's why you get through it so quickly.
Yeah.
So you'll go through like someone's stock of like 300, you'll get through it in like 15-20 minutes.
Oh my God.
Just go for
Yeah.
like 300. As
You
the
can just
people
fly
click
through
on it.
Yeah, I feel like with Amazon, if you can find efficient ways to do things like you boys are doing, like I feel like starting out, people aren't as efficient because obviously they're finding the best ways to do things, which is why things like this are good because they can see what people like you two are doing,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
and then potentially mirror it or find a way based off of that which fits them. Because I know I used to spend waste a lot of time sort of seeing.
And it comes down to fun, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
click on it, it's just
Yeah,
long. It's like it's tedious.
100%.
You sit there and you think, oh, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours and I might find 2 things.
Yeah, and if you
It's
work
not worth my
out
time.
that hourly pay, whereas for me, I find it fun. Like I will smash it out and find like as many as possible.
Yeah, it's exactly, and that's not like, we're not saying that's like the perfect way to do it. That's not like you have to do that, but that's just what we've done
It's a preference,
for a long
yeah.
time, and that's always worked.
Mm.
Another thing I'd say as well is that when you actually click, you found a product which meets the criteria, you're looking for it on a profitable deal, you've then obviously got to factor a couple of other things. So if you find it at a price, so the way we do it is, if we find you get like your max cost on Cellaram. Do you look at that?
Yeah.
So that's like
It's
the price
not
you want.
always accurate though.
So the max cost is basically, it works out where you would. So I'm trying to word it. So on SaaS, right? You know when you put in a figure and you get like your ROI and then you got your profit margin, whatever. You know, like sometimes it's green or it's red.
Yeah.
So it goes green when it meets the criteria you've inputted on the settings. And it goes red if it's below that. So if you put, I want at least a 50% ROI in your SaaS settings, anything below would just go red.
Yeah.
So that max cost basically works out to meet your criteria. So if you want a 30% minimum ROI, then change your settings to 30%, and then your max cost will then change to basically make it so you're finding a deal which gives you 30% ROI. A lot of people don't know that. I can't remember what the standard SaaS setting is set at, but they'll look at a max cost. Maybe it says like £13, but that might be to get a 50% ROI, when in reality they only want like a 30. And they think, oh, I can't find the product profitable, when actually they are, but the max cost is wrong. So like your settings are incorrect, so it kind of sways you away from a lot of deals. So that's one thing to change. But once you find a product you want to find, you obviously look on Google. First thing to always do is you get like all the shopping tabs at the top, see if any of them are profitable there.
Yeah, that's what I do.
If
I'd never spend like
Don't spend too
massively
long.
long.
Don't spend too long. It's just quick search. If it's not there, then if the brand website's there, click on that. See if they're doing like a 3 for 2 deal, because they won't show unless you go on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, like I say, if you are within £1 of your max cost, go onto the website, just see if there's a discount code. A lot of the time there'll be like hidden 20% discount code makes a product profitable.
Exactly. Or what we'll do sometimes, I said to you off camera, like we will sit there, and let's say we're working on a 20% ROI, but it might be like the product actually might be still good profit and it might be 15%.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a little chat between ourselves and have a little look and see if it's still worth doing that. Because always, and even if like the max cost is like £5.50, but you can find it for £5.80, the profit still might be good. So it's still not be like a throwaway item, you might still want to buy it.
Yeah.
So there's things you just look into, you just learn on job, and that's just how it goes really.
Yeah, it's like the key takeaway is, as you said, learn on the job, do due diligence, and if the product meets what your parameters are, buy it. If not, just keep.
Yeah, if not, and also you can always go back onto the buy button and just have a look, put it in, see what the profit would be. If you're still happy with the profit, of course you can do what you want. If you want to buy it, go ahead. There's no problem with that.
Sounds good.
Are there any complications? Because am I right in saying, I'm not going to say where you two came from today, but am I right in saying they're not like near each other?
Yeah, we live about half an hour, 40 minutes from each other.
Are there any complications of like, let's say you need to be together to do a certain thing, but you can't get to each other, or let's say your unit, one of you can't get to because of like a rush hour traffic. Is there ever complications of not living 5 minutes away from each other?
Not really, because I think like in this day and age especially, like you can just pick up the phone in it, so it's like quite easy to like stay in contact. But when it comes to the unit, we've sort of set everything up to work for us both. So the unit is literally in the dead centre of both of us.
And also, like Cal might go to the unit sometimes. I don't just go to the unit.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be 12 hours a day. He might quickly pop in. And
I might just, yeah, exactly. And like, there's a couple, like this is why I think it's important to like proper, like look where your unit's going to be, look at what's around it, because there's a lot of people just get a unit out in the sticks, and like that might not always be the best. Like we've got one where like it's right next to a train station. So if for example, like my car's broken or my car's getting a service done, like there's these little things like that where it's like that's never going to like get in the way because I can just get the train. Worst case scenario. There's like little things.
You have to
like
consider
that.
like different variables. Like it might seem all good, but then until you're actually working from that unit, there might be a lot more complications than you first thought.
Yeah, it's like here, like there's 2 train stations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like we got the train here. It's like literally you're next to everything, and this office is like crazy, like close to pretty.
Even
much
got the biggest pier in the world. Like, what more can you want round
yeah,
here?
do you know what I mean? You've got a McDonald's outside.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like what more?
Honestly, we're laughing. Yeah, no, it's just little things like that, and also you might want it to be in a really quiet area, but you also might want it to be near a coffee shop, so you can meet for a coffee, have a quick little chat there. Just loads of things, personal preference, but ultimately you want it to be in a easy place to access. And 24 hour, I think, is the most important thing for a unit.
24-hour biggest thing.
It's a massive game changer because you're working on like, other people's times.
Yeah, I think another thing as well, especially when you're doing arbitrage, is like. When you start doing it full time, a lot of people get into like for you boys, you're sweet, like you won't have this issue because you've obviously got an office. But for a lot of people who have like only got a unit, for example, and they don't want to get an office, like they're happy with the unit, like they just work from home, like they just work from home every day. And I think another important thing I'd say to as well to people is like try your best to like get out and do sourcing, because it's so easy to just get distracted at home. Like you'd be sat there. YouTube's on, and sometimes it's fine. Like it's on the odd day, it's okay just to watch YouTube. But a lot of people just get caught up in that, and then next thing you know, you're like sat on your phone scrolling through TikTok, and you're like not being efficient. So what I always think, like, if you're like sourcing or doing stuff, like try and go out to a coffee shop. Try and like go out somewhere where there's other people around you, and you can just work and like focus. Because a lot of people get caught up on like getting home, and they're just like sitting in bed, like just sourcing, which obviously is fine. But doing that every single day, people don't realise like how, because we realise that.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually that good for like, your mental health as a whole. I feel like if you're just working from your bed all the time, it might sound cool and cosy, but after a while, it's kind of hard to like, motivate yourself at points, isn't it? Whereas if you go out and you're going to the coffee shop strictly to work, like me and Cal might meet at our Starbucks, get a little drink or something and just work from there, and like you feel much better, don't you? When you come home, it's like if you're working where you chill, it's like not as enjoyable sometimes, but if you go coffee shop and then come home and chill, it's like it's much nicer to like relax and you can unwind a lot more.
Yeah.
I feel like the office though, like here we have, like we're all mates, so sometimes it can get distracting, which is why it's nice to have this, because you can get out and sit in here.
Yeah.
And like,
we've got two cold callers. Like I remember, I don't think I might be saying this, but Oscar sometimes took calls in there. I'd be sitting there like, you little twat. Like, get in this room. Like, we've actually got a room for cold calls.
Yeah.
Like, and if he's like, it might not be kind of like it might not be like a business call. It might just be a personal call. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to work. If you haven't got noise cancelling AirPods, it does put you off. So like, having this room it's like huge, having this room, and then obviously it doubles up as a podcast studio or even a ping pong table.
Yeah.
So I mean that, but you can't get sucked into that, because sometimes like ping pong gets a little bit heated, and then if you lose, you go, we'll have a best of 3, and then if you lose the best of 3, you go, best of 5.
Keep going.
And then 2 hours later, you're still like whacking balls at the ping pong table.
Yeah,
you're like, where is it?
When we first came here, I spent the day playing ping pong. I'd get hungry, go get food, come back, play more, and go on.
Yeah.
You get distracted easy.
I wouldn't get anything done.
But again, 100%. I think that because that's me and you, it's like I just don't know if we wouldn't allow it to happen. It's like if I've not worked hard, or I feel like I've not done that much, the next day I will like 100% make up for it. I'll just like try my best to like show in revenue, like make up for the next day.
I feel like it's definitely something I'm improving on. I feel like a lot of people starting with entrepreneurship, you've got like this ideal model of someone who just like works insanely hard. Like you hear about Elon Musk who sleeps on the floor and like.
Yeah. I don't think it's that realistic though. I think selling a dream a little bit.
You're not always going to be fully locked into something you do, but if you know that you are someone who's going to easily get distracted, you have to try and put yourself in an environment and structure your life in a way that you can give yourself the best chance at not getting distracted. That's what I think is like quite an important thing, especially for young people, because we're all like addicted to like TikTok and everything.
Yeah,
you've got to find what
100%.
suits you. Like some people could work in a really busy office. Some people hate working from home. Like I don't really mind either, to be fair.
Yeah, I get up at like 9:30. But I'll then work later on in the day.
100%.
Like you just got to like kind of do, and that I think that whole like perfect entrepreneur thing, like you say, is just such a myth. Like
It's just personal preference overall.
if you don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, just don't.
I've never got that. It's like the people up at 6 are asleep at 8 PM.
Yeah.
It's like I've never.
Makes no
I
difference.
was like,
Yeah.
to be fair, I guess in FBA terms, it's like you can't wake up at 1 because then like trading hours for wholesales end at 5.
Yeah.
But if you're like if you're waking up at 5 or 6 AM and then kind of like having like an energy crash at 2 or 3 PM, there's no real gain to be had.
Yeah, I work till 9-10 PM for most nights, just out of pure fun. Like, I'll sit in bed watching something and I've got no interest in it. I'll just get my laptop out and have a little flick through some products.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
once you start enjoying your work, it's like
It's not working anymore.
it's not working. It's like, oh, I messaged Cal, like I was like working till like 10 PM, and then Cal woke up. He's like, mate, it's like there's like 19 leads on the sheet. It's like just going through. It's just like what you can do when you're enjoying it. It's just like insane.
Do you ever get like a midnight motivation where you just like open the laptop at like 1 AM and then
I
just,
do.
like, turn into a god?
I set myself these weird little like mental targets. So like I'll go through someone's whole storefront, or I won't stop until I found like a certain amount of profit. So I'll just do that in my head. I think that's like nice to motivate yourself. It can get quite boring, like keep going through the same things. But if you set yourself like little targets, like I think you make it enjoyable, and also like you're making the money for yourself. It's not like making commission at a company. It's like that is your money. It just benefits you.
Yeah.
I think people forget that sometimes. I certainly do. I'm like, because I've got like you have like the comfort of a job, like for us anyway, and you think, I don't know, like anything you make outside that, it's like literally purely mine. Like no one can touch the bar tax. Like no one can touch that.
Yeah,
So it's
we don't
like,
get sick days either. Like if you're sick, you don't make there's no money at all. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like, how did you kind of explain FBA to a family? Because a lot of the more traditional people might be like, well, it isn't a proper job, it's just numbers on the screen.
I didn't really. Your dad's sweet as though, isn't he?
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't
that's
really.
quite funny. Yeah, so like with like my mum and like my mum's side of the family, I just like told them, I was like, because they knew who I learned off. So I was like, yeah, you're just like gonna teach me this thing. It's like basically selling stuff online, and they were like, yeah, cool, like just like go for it. They weren't like, oh, that's a scam or anything like that. They were quite cool. So that was like quite easy. It was like a bit when I was like saying to them like, oh, I'm actually just gonna, because obviously when we were car brokers, we was obviously earning like quite decent money there. So when I told my mum, I was like, oh, I'm actually gonna do this instead. She was a bit like, oh, do you think that's that smart? Like this is what you've got is decent. That was the only real kind of hiccup, but she was only doing that just to like make sure I was making the right decision, like pretty much all parents would do.
Yeah.
But with my dad, it was like easy as anything. Like, because my dad's like always owned his own businesses, so he was very like, yeah, just fucking go, just do it, just give it a go, see what happens.
I think a lot of it is your parents. Like my dad, again, is like similar to yours. He's always telling me, he's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, nothing stopping you. Whereas my mum is like, are you sure you want to do that?
It's more of security. They just want you to be secure and just make sure you're like.
Yeah. I think it's usually the mums because they want to nurture you, don't they?
100%. When you left your job, like your take-home pay, like how did it compete to your pay on FBA? Was it like half, or was it matching?
No, it's like it was at the start. It was like not anywhere near, but so the way I looked at it was like the money I was earning. I was working about 40 minutes from where I lived, and like the car that I had at the time would like just go through petrol like anything. So I was doing like 30 quid every 3 days. I'd only fill up 30 quid at a time. Don't ask me why. It's just I just always just done it that way. But I used to fill up £30 every 3 days in this car. So I was already spending, what's that, like 300 quid a month on petrol. My insurance at the time was like £300 a month, which was just silly. There were so many things for this job, which I was already spending so much money that when I actually like got to the end of like had my actual final amount, I was still left with a decent amount of money, but compared to the FBA, it was pretty much just like matching it. Because for FBA, I didn't have to pay for all these things. I didn't have to pay, like we had to pay like £150 a month for the car park for work. Like we had to pay to park. There's so many, and like when you're working in an office, like we were in a commission-based job, so everyone's very like bubbly, like, you know, let's get on the piss, like go out on lunch, and you'd be getting like semi-pissed. Not me. other people in the workplace. Like getting semi-drunk on your lunch at work. So you spend like 20 quid on a break. Then you go lunch, spend like another 20 quid. Like we worked in a city as well, so like it was already, they already had like the city tax, where it's like you're already spending a little bit more. Then like there's so many nice places you can eat, go eat there on lunch. So you're spending so much money. As soon as you start working for yourself and you're like, be more careful with my money, you realise, although I might on paper be earning less money, I'm actually left with way more money. And what I say to Josh all the time, which is like the biggest blessing I think about owning your own business, is like a lot of people who, for example, are in like a sales job. Like sales is by far, in my opinion, like the best way if you're in a normal job to earn as much money as possible. Commission, you just earn what you put in. Like you could have so much money, but you still wouldn't live the life you want to live because you don't have the time. And like for example, if you wanted to go on holiday, get like how many days of the year do you get off?
If we had 21,
we got like 20, you get 21 days, so like that's 3 weeks. So you could have so much money, but you couldn't go on holiday once a month if you wanted to, like for a week. With your own business, if you wanted to do like a weekend or a weekend, but on a Monday and a Tuesday, or Tuesday and a Wednesday in Spain, non-busy ticket, like non-busy time of the year, like you could go to Spain and back for like 150 quid.
And still work.
And still work while you're out there. Like stuff like that, like you're spending way less money, but it's like because you've got all the free time, you're allowed to do these things. When people like get a taste for that, they're like, wow, this like entrepreneur thing is actually like crazy, because it's not all about the money.
It's the freedom. That's
it's not
why,
all about the money. It's
that's
about
why we
the
wanted
freedom.
it.
That's what
freedom.
I value so much more.
I think that's what I'm like. I want the most.
Yeah.
It's like not. I just hate going to work. I hate it, but it's because I'm making money, but not for myself. Like I'm capped how much I can earn in an hour there. Whereas with Amazon, if you're not necessarily capped. Like if you technically find a storefront and you find every single product on there is profitable, you can make a couple grand.
You can make a couple grand in a day or an hour, like you say. Like going back to what you said as well, Ben. Like when you're saying that you get like a midnight like boost, like that's the beauty of it as well. It's like, because everyone does, even when you work for a job, there are times where you're sat there in bed, you're like, I'm gonna fucking go gym. Like, I'm gonna go gym. I'm fucking going gym. Like, do you know what I mean? Shit like that. But it's like when you're like working for yourself, you could literally go, do you know what? I'm gonna fucking give it a nice 3 hours right now, and it would actually benefit you.
Yeah.
But like when you're like, and there's nothing wrong with doing a 9 to 5. Like some people just would rather have this, you know, their sense of security in that, which is fine. But like with that, it's like you don't get the option to do stuff like that. Like we could, if Josh was like to me, mate, last night I was working from like 12 to 4, I wouldn't expect him to be like working the whole day the next day. I'd be like, mate, you've just been working like 4 hours in the middle of the night, like just chill. Do you know what I mean? So things like that, you can just leverage it. Like if I've got a massive boost in the night, I'm gonna wake up a bit later tomorrow.
100%.
I've earned it.
I just think that the freedom, I feel like time to price is like, if you're enjoying what you're doing, it's having the time to do things. It's like, if you want to go anywhere, it's just nice to book it away, take your laptop with you. But ultimately, if you want to work till 3 a.m, you can wake up at like 10.
Yeah.
And you're not dossing, because I was working while she was sleeping. So just kind of how it goes. It's like, I think the biggest misconception is like, people like might hate on people like entrepreneurs, because like, oh, 9 to 5 is fine. 9 to 5 is completely fine. If you're happy doing that, that is completely fine, as long as you're happy. Just some people aren't happy working for someone else. They want a bit more freedom, or they just want the finer things. That's just like, it's just different mindsets. Like if you're working 9 to 5, it's completely fine. It's just like, we got to the point, especially in our job, where we were earning really good money, and it got to the point where it's like, I just want to do something for ourselves now.
Yeah, it was like you were saying earlier, you tried to book off a holiday. No.
Yeah, trying to book off the missus' birthday, and they rejected
it. That was the last straw for him.
I was done.
That was your last straw.
I don't really know. I think it was when I went Bali. I think for me, that's when I was just like,
it was Bali, yeah.
Done a bit of mushrooms out there, and I was in my feelings. And
Had
I
the
was
epiphany.
Like, you know what? I was like, this ain't me. I was like, I'm not trying to. I was like, I don't really want to work here anymore. Like, that's not really what I want to do. And I've already got something which I've built a little bit. It's not like I went to Bali and was like, I'm starting Amazon and I'm going to make it. It wasn't that. I was already kind of doing it, and I was like, I've already got something here. Like, let me actually just give it a go. And I think that was the last straw for me. But we had like, there were so many things about like that job. Like, it was great, but it was only great. It was only great because you could fuck about with your mates all day on the phones, have a laugh, and then earn good money. And which for a lot of people is like, that's just all they want. And with that job, we had that. But when we had that for like years, we was like, so much more out there.
Yeah.
Like so many other things you can do. Like,
And did you leave about the same time?
Same day.
Oh wow, same day.
Same day.
Handing notes on the same day.
Walked out to a standing ovation. It was all the best.
Clapping,
it was nice.
clapping, crying.
This is our plan because there's 4 of the boys in the office. We all work at the same place. But the thing is, because obviously we're all on a rota. If we all hand our notice in on the same day,
They're fucked.
They're like for a long time.
How they treated you though? Have they treated you well?
Yeah, to be fair, there's actually no reason why we do that other than because we're like, it's just funny, like, but they have to.
It's just funny.
But they have to just be on speed though with like higher. Yeah,
they'd have to hire everyone they'd interview within the day. Because I do 35 to 40 hours. He does 35 to 45 hours. One of the other boys does 30. One of the other boys does like 15 to 30.
And if the people that are hiring, people like part-time work, that's not normal.
That's their empire fucked.
Yeah,
that's them gone.
They'd have to hire like 6 or 7 20-hour-a-week staff. So anybody who would apply would get in, no matter how bad they are.
Because you do more hours than the
than the usual part-time work.
Because the other 2 boys that work, so there's another 2 boys. They're also we're all like actual mates outside of work, so it's like if we all hand our notice in on that day, so are those 2. They would not have. They couldn't cover a week. Like they'd have to shut every evening from 12 till 10.
There's a point in time where our manager's gone now, but our former manager, there was I remember there was an issue with my pay and I got docked like 15 hours paying a week because she forgot to do something.
Right.
Essentially forgot to ask me when I worked and then just assumed like literally assumed a number, put it in, and then no, we can't change it until 2 weeks time. But to be fair, we do get weekly pay, but it's just the fact that I've got to wait like I think instead of a week it was 2 weeks. I got really pissed off and
I said stuff to pay for.
This was exactly the week when we had to pay for the down payment on the office, which was like a month up front, furniture, everything. So it was tight.
It's a lot of money.
And I said to Archie and Joe, like, would you, if I got, because I got into a big argument with, I was like, if I get sacked here for this, would you walk out for me? And they were like, yeah.
I said to the manager, I said, by the way, if you sack him, we'll go.
Yeah.
She didn't sack him.
And that kind of like, it was great. And that kind of like safety in numbers. It's literally if we leave, I think like if me and Archie left, or if me, Archie and Joe left, then 5 other people would follow. That shot would catch for a while after our notice period.
But I don't really care because they haven't really done much for me apart from giving me a person.
To be fair, they're actually sweet like to everyone there's fine really.
Like everyone's nice. Like it's just there aren't really any benefits of working for the company.
Of course, yeah.
I think one thing I was saying to you, Kel, was like, I've got this really weird thing where I like being around people that motivate me or people that like inspire me, and I think after a while we were like around people that were just like maybe just at an age where like if I was at their age I want to be doing a lot more. That makes sense.
100%.
So obviously with Cal's younger than me. And for him to be so driven as well, like it inspires you, vice versa. It's nice to be around someone like that, as opposed to someone that's like doom and gloom all the time. When someone's money motivated, it does rub off on you.
That's like where we work. There's like people that their career is like shift work in retail. Nothing wrong with that, but we're on the same pay, and that's their career. They might not be the smartest, it might be like dribbles or anything like that. And they like speaking to them, they don't really understand it. If I'm 5 minutes late for work because I'm in the office, they're like, "Come on, mate, I've got places to be." Well, no, you haven't. Like, you're gonna walk around the corner home and do nothing with your life. They don't really have that understanding or context of like people that do want to succeed or make more than their lives. And I think that's why we used to go to a couple of networking events last year. The amount of motivation you get after you've been to one, because you're around the people like that either more successful with you, got the same mindset, it's massive. You get such a boost of motivation because, as you said, you're like around people and you're not around the people that in your previous job wouldn't understand or just don't care or whatever.
Yeah, what's that saying about? Is it 3 people you home
you are the product of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah. And that's why it was like when I left school, it's like I moved away from where I went to school, moved to Brighton, and I had like people that I was really good pals with, but they just didn't inspire me. And like when you go back sometimes, they're doing the same things or just little things like that, where it's like it's just nice to be around people that are like on a steady incline. It just like motivates you sometimes. And also I feel like you can get a little bit content If all your boys are doing the same thing, you're just like, oh, my boys are doing it, I'll just be content with it. It's kind of nice just to break off sometimes. Like, also living like different surroundings can also boost things. Like change the way you think, change the way things you do. Like it's just different surroundings can help as well. So like, multiple things you can do to like be motivated.
That's like Gary Neville on he does a podcast like Ian Wright and Roy Keane now, and he said that after he left school at 16, he didn't speak to any of his friends again.
Yeah.
Which I find was like mental. Like that's taken to an extreme.
Yeah, it sounds harsh, but sometimes you have to be selfish as well in life. Like, you can't just keep like coasting with people, like bringing people with you. You have to be selfish.
But we've definitely found that like after you leave school, you'll realise who your school friends were, and who your actual friends were.
Yeah.
There's some people you were just friends with because you bumped into them every day, and because you were forced into the same room with them. They're not actually on the same path as you. They don't motivate you. They're always like destined for not the same as you.
100%. I don't even talk to like a lot of the people I was massively close with in school. But when I was younger, my dad used to always say to me, like, the people who you end up being friends with usually tend to be the people you like work with rather than go to school with. And like I would like look at him and like all of his pals he's with now, he's just worked with them. Like very few of them are from like his college or like his school. So I always had that mindset in school. Whereas like if someone was like a bit of a cunt or whatever, I'll just be like, alright, cool. Like I'm not worried. I'm not like you're not gonna be my pal forever. I kind of already know that. And like. So yeah, I don't talk to like majority of people I was like massively friends with in school. Like I see them from time to time. It's not like I don't like them. We just don't talk every day because we're just on different paths, like you say. So that's why like when I met Josh at work, like me and him just had like the same ideal like straight away, and I already had it in my mind, like, you know, my old man was saying that usually you spend more time with people at work. So I was like, okay. And then we just got on, and then we started talking about like business together. I realised we had like the same views, and then we've literally just kicked off ever since.
Yeah, because we lived together for a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we had a little like we lived together within like 4 or 5 months, not each other.
Yeah.
Was that like was there ever any arguments like when you lived together?
No, obviously like
getting each other's way.
Obviously, Cal just can't cook or do anything independent. So I'll be doing that, do you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, he done a lot of the cooking, to be fair. But like my job in the house was that my job was like to wash up, right?
He was a cracking wife.
But we had a dishwasher, but it never worked. So my compromise was like, well, I'm not doing the washing up because we've got a dishwasher. So until that's fixed, I'm not doing my job, which actually, looking back at it now, it's like
criminal,
bang out of order. so I would like, I didn't actually really do much.
Don't fuck all. I made the teas. I cooked.
No, I made the tea. I made the tea.
Geese.
On occasion.
He never made the tea. He can't make a cup of tea like me. But yeah, no, I think living with someone else was like, we've got completely different eating habits. Like I eat completely different food to you, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's nice to live with someone that's a bit different, and also like it was just exciting, wasn't it? And that was another venture we were doing. That was to do with business as well. Yeah, that was like something else we were going to do, but we needed to be like with each other a lot of the time. But it's not something we really like sort out for a while. Yeah.
And like people talk to me as well, like. A lot of my friends, like when they find out I'm doing the Amazon thing, because like it's weird, like I don't even have like, we don't really even have like many followers on TikTok, but like engagement's decent, but like everyone knows that I do TikTok, who I went to school with and college. It's really weird how they all like know. It's weird, right? And they're like, well, like I hear stuff like that. I don't get why he doesn't live by himself, and I've lived by myself before. It's not that I can't afford to live by myself, but I actually do not enjoy living by myself yet. I don't think I'm at that age. I like having dinner made by my mum. I like not having to do the food shopping. There's stuff like that which
there's that little home comforts that you still enjoy.
I don't care how much money I've got. I just enjoy being at home at the moment. So and to be fair, I don't really spend that much time at home. I do spend a majority of the time at my girlfriend's, but
yeah,
I just don't really enjoy.
And also, we would live on our own, but ultimately, like, I want to travel. I've been travelling before. I want to do it again. So I don't want to get a place where I'm tied down for 6 months or 12 months. Like, at the moment, mum gets treated well, and then I just want to go travelling whenever we can. I don't want to be tied down to anything, and that's why we work for ourselves.
But that's what we're going to do this year as well, and that's like obviously like thanks to Amazon. which is like again, why it's amazing because you can it's one of the very businesses as well which you can just automate like quite early on. It's not something you have to wait. You can do it fairly simple as soon as the money starts coming in, and like that gives you we're gonna do traveling around the whole of like Asia this year for don't even know how long. It might be a couple of years.
Yeah, or like for however long.
You can outsource all the work we've built here, and then do whatever you want in another country.
Do you think it will still run as smoothly?
I think it would run possibly better.
It could run probably better.
Because let's say we're living in Bali. So I want to do like Japan, Thailand, Bali, Australia. I've been to Australia before and Bali.
And we're going to do like a bit of America as well, but we'll save that for the end.
Singapore, like probably go to Dubai on the way out. Like,
Singapore's nice.
Yeah, like I want to go. Like I want to do everything because ultimately, like I don't know why not. But when we are working, it'd be a case of like we'll just get a nice place, like with our missus, and we can just sit there and work. But it's just because like the cost of living in Bali.
This is
would be so minimal. So we actually make so much more money, and you'd sit there and just work during the day and just look at where you are. Like you'd appreciate things a little bit more. Like
motivation. That's where like obviously we want to massively scale our like personal brand as well out there.
And also we want to go out and meet like suppliers and stuff.
Yeah, you can go out and meet like private label suppliers in those sort of countries. Like that's where they're usually, that's where you usually buy them from, which is amazing. Meet them in person, much better deals.
Like create relationships. Like that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and it's a shame, but like especially nowadays, like especially if you want to like go hard on your personal like brand and image, when you are out traveling and stuff like that, people. Again, it's unfortunate, but people will just take you more seriously if you don't live in the UK for whatever reason. It's one of those things,
it kind of proves your method works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, people won't take me seriously till I leave my job. Like I could be making 80 grand a month, but because I'm still in that job,
they're like, well, why are you still in a job?
Take me seriously, even though like if we sat down, I sat down with everyone actually talking about me.
100%.
Like, out of the water, and it's just
100%. But there's always going to be something like you just unfortunately can't. Make everyone happy. Yeah, you can't. Everyone can't be happy.
Because then when you are living by yourself and you've got nice things, they're like, oh, you're just stunting. It's like you can never win.
Yeah.
Or finance.
Yeah. But ultimately, like, I personally, I could not give a shit about what anyone thinks at all. Like, I've got people that I care about opinion, and that's it. But ultimately, like, I just want to do well for myself. I don't care about stunting or anything like that. I just want to do well, prove myself right, and also have a good time with the missus.
100%.
I mean, I always think that like people want you to do well, but not too well.
That's
a great
well, but not better than them.
Yeah,
I've never had anybody say that. That's the first time that's just something that I've always thought, and it was like I can just picture myself with my family saying, because there's kind of like process to it. There's like the initial idea where like members of your family might think that isn't going to work, and then when you do, and then let's say it does work, they're like, oh, I'm really happy for him, and then let's say you start making serious money off it, they're like, actually no. Jealousy,
jealousy,
or like he makes the same amount that I do in like a year. He makes that in like a month. Like it's just.
I think I can be envious of people. But that's like motivation. I would never hate on someone. It's like again, I've had my friends tell me that other friends are like, "How's he doing that?" or "That's bullshit," or "He's only doing it because Callum's doing it," or vice versa. But like, even if I was, it's just irrelevant. You should be like, "Oh," as opposed to asking how people are out, like just hate. But it's like, I've never been that type of person. I would always like, even when you was doing Amazon, I was always curious whether I wanted to do it or not. It's always good to have like a rough idea to see what people are doing. Like, there's so many different ways to make money.
Was anybody else, like the place you worked, was anybody else like a bit jealous you had that going on?
Yeah, they wanted to jump on it, of course.
I don't know, like, some of them probably watched it, so I'm not going to sit here and say like, yeah, bare people are jealous.
No one was hating.
But like, bare people were curious and like wanted to like get involved a lot.
Was there a third person that was like equally did like a little trio or what?
Nah. Was there? Nah. There's never been any more.
In fact, we actually got a email from the CEO, didn't we, and the co-founder when we left the company.
Yeah, we had like a little nice email from him just saying like, doing your own thing, like congrats, like.
Yeah, 'cause he's doing his own thing, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got like a multi-billion
company.
He's
got a unicorn company.
He's got like a unicorn company. It was quite mad to get that email, but like a lot of people knew about it. I don't even know how it really like. I tried to keep it like proper low, like. When I was doing the Amazon alongside the job, not many people really knew about it until it was coming up to the point where like people knew I was like heading out, and people were like, "What are you doing then?" Like, because everyone's like, it's always that conversation in it when you leave the job. It's like, oh, what are you going to go and do? And I was like, well, I'm going to do my own thing. That was my saying. I'd never say what it was. I'm just like, I'm just going to go and do my own thing. They're like, well, what? And then eventually I had to explain it to like some people. But like, we didn't explain it to people for so long. I told my like line manager in like a private conversation, like, I'm handing my notice. That's when we both handed in our notice. I told him like a couple of weeks prior that I'm thinking about it. And he was like, oh, right, like, what are you going to do? And I explained, he's like, mate, like, that's sick. Like, he was like, he was actually well supportive.
Yeah,
like, he was like, mate, smash it, go do it. And then when the day I actually handed in my notice, like, so many people were like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing that? Like, where are you going? Like,
how many people were there in the sales team or wherever you were?
Bare.
It was bare.
But you knew everyone. It was quite sick. It was quite a sick job.
No, really, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That made me change as a person.
You had like 60 people a floor, and there was like 3 floors.
3 floors, yeah, and that was just like one office.
Was it car sales?
Yeah. So it was like,
how did that work?
because you'd have like different industries.
You'd have one
like,
that would deal with like
departments. So
yeah,
you'd have
B2C,
like,
B2B.
You'd have like people who deal with only the dealerships, because we do stuff with dealerships. You'd have people who only deal with like complaints. And then you'd have like the sales team,
payments team,
openers, closers. Like, you'd have so many different people, but everyone knew everyone. There was a couple of departments, like the support department. They didn't really mingle with anyone because they would pretty much just sort of go and employ anyone. Like, you just got to answer the phone and just be like, "Hello, how can I help?" And then they just help. When it comes to like the openers and closers, like the proper like witty people and like had a bit of something about them, everyone knew each other.
Yeah, because if we joined. Was it like 10 days or 20 days apart?
It was weird. Like, we literally joined within like 2 weeks of each other and left on the same day. It was quite mad.
And obviously when we were there, we just like, I think they had like a older audience. I'm not saying old, but like an older audience. And then when we joined, we kind of just like, we were just smashing it. We were doing really well. So it kind of just went up a little bit. And that's how we like, they got like a social media, didn't they?
Yeah.
An internal social media.
It was really weird, like, not being boasty, but like when we joined, there wasn't many people around our age. It was like older people, and I think they kind of like took a bit of a limb, like a risk, and was like, oh, let's just employ them and just see how they get on. And then literally, like a year later, it was like only young people.
Everyone was like feasting, because obviously they kind of realised that the young people are actually going to smash.
They're the ones who are just going to actually go fucking
massively
hard
motivated.
and like work late, stay in after office hours, like just keep going. And it was that when they were like, these are the people we want to employ. So, but when we left, by the time we left, majority of the office was like 20-year-olds. It was mad.
That's the thing, like, when we go networking events, we're always the youngest there.
Yeah.
We actually probably we might not be anymore, but we went to Gen Z networking event last year January?
Yeah.
Or this year January?
This year. I was 18.
This year I was. Well, yeah, we're both 18. Was it this year?
Yeah. Or was it December? Either way.
Oh no, Gen Z was January. Then we went to Lux one.
This year, then.
Jack
Yeah.
Then we went to the Baycost as well. So we were always around like 8. I think we went to something when we were like 17. Sure, I remember going to something when I was 17 and people, and like, especially when there's like 30-year-olds there and they're like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I mean, I don't look my age. I look like 8 years younger than what I actually am. But with a couple of the other lads, they're like look a bit older than they are. So they're like, "What? You're actually 17? You look like 23."
I think you both look older than 18.
I remember.
I'm 19 like 3 weeks.
Yeah, but even 19, I think you both look older than that.
I was 14 at a car show and I got in free because they thought I was under 10, so they didn't even question it.
Yeah.
Like they like.
He still gets.
I remember my dad. Like I remember my dad. I remember his reaction when she was like he went to pay for me and she was like, "Oh, under 10s go free." And he was like, "Yeah," and
he's like, "Sweet."
Yeah. He was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Well, he can go free then." And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, come on." I was 14, 4 years old.
That's poor. How long have we been rolling for?
Yeah, how long?
Do you want to guess, or should I tell you?
2 hours 36.
It's 20 to
Not
9.
that long, surely.
No, 1:55.
2-hour pod. I'll say we wrap up now, and what we'll do is we can always do another part.
Part 2.
We can
Yeah.
do a part 2.
Guess who just got back today? been away, haven't changed, hadn't